Welcome back, everybody. So today, I got a surprise for you. We are building the Miata engine. I'm talking full-blown, fully forged, like just madness. It's going to be awesome, but it's also going to be nerdy. So be prepared for a very long, in-depth, drawn-out video because that seems to be what I'm really good at. I like explaining things, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to explain things. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get into it. We know we're shit. Yeah. Thanks for watching the Daily Drift. So guys, I gotta tell you the reason why I'm doing this and why this is kind of important. This is probably not all gonna get done in one day, but the reason this is so important is you guys may or may not know, but Austin is currently in Air Force ROTC. Yeah, I know, you can get the jokes out now, Air Force, blah, 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 whatever, it's okay.
This is your last chance to get out of it.
Well, I'm not going to.
Alright, raise your right hand. I state your full name.
I, Austin,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States
and the orders of the officers appointed over me
and the order of the officers appointed over me
according to regulations
according to regulations
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
and the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Point is, he's going and he's in field training right now, and he's working his way to become a pilot. You know, I couldn't be more proud of him. He was never the type to want to join the military. He saw what it did to a lot of our family and how it affected a lot of us. We all grew up in it. My dad was military. So, long story short, I'm really proud of my little brother. I hope you guys send a little bit of support his way. But this whole engine build I wanted to do while he was gone, and it's taken me almost all week to get everything together. So while he's been gone, I've been spending like every day that I can when I'm not in school getting parts for this car, getting the engine ready. I went down to the machine shop like 10 times because there's always something missing or I need to get something. So if you're planning on building an engine, be prepared. It's going to take some time, but it's totally worth it. And I've got some big surprises. So number one surprise is this right here. So if you don't know what this is, it's a box. If you don't know what a box is, you might have some problems. But that's okay. I do too. So this box here has some forged rods, and they're Manley rods. You know, Manley rods. So these are very awesome. Very excited to get these things in there. These are going to help because it's going to be a turbo build, and you know, we want it to be strong. And then we got these. These suckers are probably one of the most beautiful pieces I've seen in quite a while. If you look at these are what we call forged Wiseco pistons. Yeah, that's right. So we got the completely forged dished pistons. These are going to help with compression by lowering it to the point where it's going to be, it'll basically, all these are going to do is going to make it to where it's a lot safer when we're pushing it under boost. We can put a little bit more out there, and it's going to be a little bit more forgiving considering we don't have a real tune yet, but that's going to be coming because we're not about to put all this into this engine and not have a good tune, because last thing we want to do is blow it up again. So now that I got all the parts together, I got everything set up, I took everything down to the machine shop and I got everything that I needed. It was a very complicated process. By complicated, I mean I just dropped the shit off and was like, here you go, you guys take this and see you in 2 weeks. So the number one thing that we had to bring when we went to the machine shop was I had to bring them a block completely bare, which you saw that in a previous video. I had to bring them the crankshaft because we're getting it cleaned and basically getting it checked to make sure if it was still good, make sure if we wanted to get it ground down, anything like that. Had to have them check all that, so we did. Turned out that our rods, the original ones, were bent, so it's part of the reason why we got new ones. And once we bought those, I was like, well, we may as well go all out. We're already halfway there. If we're going to do something, let's do it right. So we did. So then what we did to save some money is we took the cylinder head apart. I took the cams out, and we made sure that we dropped it off with the machine shop with just the head, the valves, and everything like that. Whole point was just so they could go and check it out and make sure everything was fine, because We didn't know, some things you can't tell just from looking at it. You have to get it pressure tested. You have to actually get the valves checked. You know, sometimes you have to actually take them out and roll them to see if they're bent. Well, turned out we bent 3 valves. And then also they burned off the edges on some of them, which is probably from detonation and poor timing. Go figure. And then after that, we just waited. We waited and waited and waited, and we just waited some more. So we waited until we got it all back. They called me up and they're like, hey, got your engine ready. I was like, awesome, let's go get it. So we did. So we went after they called us, got the engine back. After we got the engine back, took it here, and now this is where we're at. The very first thing that I need to do before I can do anything else on this engine is I need to get this block painted. Now, I asked Austin before he left for field training, and I asked him, I said, you know, well, what color do you want to paint the block? You know, do you want to do the typical, you know, you want to just do OEM black? We'll just do it black. Do you want to do some crazy color, purple, whatever? And originally he was going to do the mint, just the regular like OEM black. But I proposed the idea of using aluminum. We're going to make sure that it matches the cylinder head, and we're going to paint it aluminum. And the idea is that way the engine will be nice, clean. It'll still have kind of an OEM look, but it's going to separate it from the rest of the engine bay that's all black. So hopefully it'll look good. I got some cheap paint. I went to the store and I picked up some of this. It's a Rust-Oleum engine paint. It's basically designed to be able to handle the really high temp of your engine. You know, you don't want to put just regular paint on there. It's just going to flake right off. This is enamel. It's pretty strong, durable. I've used it before. The RX-7's been painted with this, and it looks just fine. So before you start painting and before we start painting the block, I came over here and I masked everything off. It's very important to mask all of this stuff, because if you don't mask it, you're going to get paint in the threads, you're going to get paint on any of the surfaces, like where the head goes. You definitely don't want any in where the bores are, where the pistons are. So I made sure to cover and mask everything that was going to be contacted or within a point where it could be a problem. So just be very careful. It's tedious, it's time consuming. It took me like 3 hours to just mask everything. So take your time, because it's very, 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 very important that you don't get that paint anywhere that you don't want it. So now that we got it masked off, let's go get this thing on an engine stand and start spraying. So make sure you take the thing off of the engine stand so you can mount it to the back of this. It'll make it way easier to put on the engine stand, considering I don't have a hoist right now. Now the parts where the bolts are going to go through, it'll be okay to have them run the bolts through. If the bolts get a little bit of paint on them, it's not a big deal, but what we can do is we might tape them off just to be safe. So let's put this on. Alright, on to the next. Alright guys, so now that we got this on here, the next thing is we got to get this sucker onto that engine stand. The problem is, I don't have my cherry picker. I lent it to a friend, and now I got to do this by hand. So I'm just going to lift this up and manhandle it to that. I can do this. I know I can. 1, 2, oi, oi. Oh, there goes my back. Up. Hey, you know what? We're on. You know, that's one good benefit of Miatas. They're not that heavy. They got small engines and small parts, and I mean, I didn't even need a cherry picker. Well, I mean, to be fair, the engine block's completely empty right now, but anyway, let's get on to painting this thing. Okay, so before we get painting, I had to mask a lot of this stuff up. I wanted to mask up the cylinder heads and like all the important parts, because I don't want them getting covered in overspray, because overspray is a real thing that's probably going to happen. If I get overspray on these floors, I'm not too worried. I'm going to be very careful not to get it on the car and some other stuff. I just ran out of drop cloth, to be honest. Otherwise, I would have masked like everything. But we got the important stuff covered, so we're not going to get paint on it. We're going to be very careful, and we're just going to get to spraying. Let's see how it looks. So here's a good before, and pretty soon we'll have an after. Forgot to mention, when you're spraying, try to use a piece of cardboard to block so you don't get anything on your main caps or anything underneath. So we're only spraying above. We're spraying above the oil pan, so we're not going to get anything in there we don't want. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Do a test. Ooh, it's a little bit shiny. Wow, it's almost like silver. We'll go light on the first coat and then we'll go do the other side. Well guys, I hope Austin likes that one because I think it looks pretty good. Not bad for a natural aluminum cheap paint job. Put this crank in. Extremely careful. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up all the main journals with the main journals on the crank. We had a little visitor show up in the garage today. It's kind of weird. What's up there, buddy? Hey, don't eat that. How you doing? Yeah, it's a wheel pan. We need to find his owner.